In the heart of Europe lies a nation of just 10 million people, led by a man who has turned the continent's politics on its head, Viktor Orbán. A name that sparks admiration in some, outrage in others. He's been called a savior of Christian Europe, a defender of national sovereignty, and also an authoritarian, a disruptor of democracy. Orbán is Hungary's longest-serving leader since the fall of communism, but his vision for Hungary and Europe is anything but ordinary. His ratifying democracy openly challenged the European Union and positioned himself as a face of global nationalist movements. Under Orbán, Hungary has become a battleground. Liberal versus illiberal values, unity versus sovereignty. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's find out. Is Viktor Orbán a bold reformer charting a new path for Europe, or disruptor threatening the very foundations of the EU? Viktor Orbán wasn't always the firebrand nationalist we know today. In fact, he started as a liberal democrat. In the late 1980s, Orbán was a young activist, fighting for democracy and an end of Soviet control in Hungary. He even co-founded Fidesz as a pro-Western, youth-driven party. But the Viktor Orbán of today is unrecognizable from his younger self. What exactly happened to him? After losing power in 2002, Orbán reimagined himself and Fidesz. By the time he stormed back into office in 2010 and had transformed into a champion of conservative nationalism. Once back in charge, Orbán wasted no time. He rewrote Hungary's constitution, giving his party more control. He reshaped the courts, the media and even the electoral system, ensuring Fidesz stayed on top. Orbán called it an illiberal democracy. Critics call it something else, a system where power flows in one direction. Under Orbán, Hungary has become a model for centralized control in Europe, sparking debates far beyond its borders. But how did this transformation impact Hungary and the whole Europe? Share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, we are building a community of smart and curious people, so don't hesitate to get more involved. In the European Union, Viktor Orbán has earned a reputation like no other. To some, he is a bold leader defending Hungary's sovereignty. To others, he is the EU ultimate troublemaker, its black sheep. Orbán's clash with the EU started early. Brussels accused him of undermining the rule of law, limiting media freedoms and curbing minority rights. But the real sparks flew during the migration crisis. While the EU pushed for member states to share the burden of refugees, Orbán slammed the door shut. He built fences, tightened borders and vowed to protect Hungary's culture at all costs. This defiance made him a hero to some and a villain to others, and then came Orbán's veto power. He's used it to block everything from sanctions on Russia to NATO bids for Sweden and Finland, moves that left EU leaders fuming. The EU hasn't taken Orbán's behavior lightly. Brussels has withheld billions in funds and launched legal action, accusing Hungary of breaking its rules. But Orbán? He's still standing, insisting Hungary won't be bullied. Love him or hate him, Orbán has turned tiny Hungary into a big problem for the EU. The question is, how much longer can this uneasy relationship hold? On the surface, Hungary's Viktor Orbán and America's Donald Trump couldn't be more different. But dig a little deeper and you'll find surprising similarities, and a bond that's caught the world's attention. Orbán and Trump share more than just a handshake. Both champion illiberal ideas, a rejection of traditional liberal values in favor of nationalism, stronger borders and a challenge to global elites. Orbán, in fact, openly admired Trump's America First approach, adopting similar Hungary First message back home. But it's not just Trump. Orbán has become a favorite among right-wing leaders and movements worldwide. From speeches at CPAC to interviews on conservative media, he's positioned himself as a global symbol of resistance to progressive policies. Think tanks and media outlets have played a big role in spreading Orbán's message. Platforms like Tucker Carlson's show have amplified his views, portraying him as a leader standing up to the woke agenda and defending Western culture. To his critics, this global spotlight is dangerous, giving Orbán a platform to promote policies they see as authoritarian. But to his supporters, it's proof that his ideas are resonating far beyond Hungary's borders. From Budapest to Washington, Orbán and Trump's connection isn't just political, it's a shared vision of how they believe the world should be. And whether you agree or not, their influence is shaping the future of global politics. Viktor Orbán has a bold vision for Europe, one that challenges the very foundation of the European Union as we know it. He's not just content with influencing Hungary, his goal is nothing less than reshaping the EU from within. Orbán envisions a Europe built on nationalism, where countries like Hungary hold the power, not bureaucrats in Brussels. His rallying cry: "Let's occupy Brussels." A metaphor perhaps, but one that signals his determination to transform the EU into a union of independent states. To achieve this, Orbán is building alliances with like-minded leaders across Europe. Figures like Giorgia, Meloni and Marine Le Pen share his vision of a Europe rooted in traditional values, strong borders and limited federal power. Orbán has championed key policies to support this vision, strengthening national sovereignty, opposing EU-wide federalism, and fighting against liberal policies on migration and culture issues. He's even institutionalizing these ideas. Through initiatives like the Matthias Corvinus Collegium, Hungary is training a new generation of conservative thinkers and leaders, preparing them to spread Orbán's values across Europe. Critics argue that Orbán's Europe would erode the core principles of unity and shared responsibility that the EU was founded on. But Orbán and his allies believe this is the only way to preserve Europe's identity in an increasingly globalized world. Whether his vision thrives or falters, Viktor Orbán has already reshaped the debate over Europe's future, and he's not done yet. Viktor Orbán's influence is felt far beyond Hungary's borders. His vision for a nationalist Europe challenges the very fabric of the European Union, testing the unity and liberal values that have held the bloc together for decades. As Orbán's influence grows, so does the rise of nationalist and populist movements across Europe. Leaders in Poland, Italy and France, inspired by Orbán's ideas, are pushing for stronger national control, tighter borders and a rejection of liberal EU-wide policies. The impact is undeniable. The European Parliament elections were a turning point. A surge in support for right-wing parties might bring a dramatic shift in EU policies, moving away from the liberal ideas of democracy, human rights and unity. Orbán's vision can create a bloc of nationalist governments within the EU, pushing for policies that prioritize sovereignty over shared European values. A shift in power could lead to new challenges for EU institutions, with debates over rule of law, migration and the future of the EU becoming more polarized. Will the EU splinter under the weight of rising nationalism, or will the unity that has defined Europe for generations hold strong? Orbán's influence is forcing Europe to confront tough questions about its future. One thing is certain: Viktor Orbán's impact on Europe's political landscape is profound, and its consequences could be felt for years to come. Viktor Orbán stands at the crossroads of Europe's future, a disruptor to some, a visionary to others. His blend of nationalism, populism and illiberal democracy is challenging the very essence of the European Union. But what lies ahead for Hungary and Europe? Will Orbán's vision spark a redefined Europe led by nationalism, or will his pushback against liberal values ultimately isolate Hungary on the world stage? The future is uncertain, but Orbán's influence is undeniable. What do you think about Orban phenomenon? Will his policies reshape Europe or tear it apart? Guys, hit a like button, subscribe and share this video, so you don't miss our next episodes. Also, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you very soon!